Yeah, sure. They and anyone can say that they had it worse, but what justifies reparations is not the opinion of who had it worse. What justifies reparations is what exactly happened to African Americans after slavery, and we know what happened to them after slavery. They were like deliberately kept poor. So why should we fix that?
How are the, well, okay. Um, well, how are you going to fix? But again, the problem is there's no slave owners anymore. They're all gone. So what you have now is you have people who are working who are just about everybody's not for that anymore. So how?
Right,
I
but
mean, how are you going to hold them to justice with their?
so what I'm saying is that reparations won't only be about slavery; it'll be about the effects of slavery, and we know what the effects of slavery are, and they still affect African Americans today.
Falsely thoughts, race, life's a twisted place. No time to erase. I'll just keep the pace.
All right, Dawkins, how's it going?
What's going on, sir? How are you doing?
I'm all right. Are you over 18? And you did say that you disagree with everything on the board, correct?
Um, Maybe everything except for number four. I'd be interested in to hear you about that one because the prisons are pretty messed up.
Yeah. So I appreciate y'all joining the team. The prison industry abolition that I'm talking about is like the industry built around putting people in prison for profit, because essentially prisons right now is essentially slave labor. So I'm against that. We should be focusing more on rehabilitating people than putting them in there because to punish them. Because right now we just focus on punishment and not actually building people to be part of society.
I got you. I'm with you on that. I mean, I think it should be a mixture of both. I don't think it should just be only rehab. I think if you do something terrible, I mean, you should be punished for it to deter future behavior. Um, but okay, I can see you on that one. Yep.
All right, cool. So what did you disagree with?
Oh man. Let me just pick one. Let's see. Guaranteed. You kind of already covered guaranteed housing. How about the? Let's talk about the reparations. That one I don't see how you get. Um, how do you implement that long term? Because if you give it to the generation right now, you're essentially saying, I mean, this generation. Well, they're going to have children, and then the next generation, and then the next generation. And are you just going to pay reparations indefinitely?
Yeah, and that's the part that needs to get figured out. Like I don't think they have it completely figured out yet, right? So what reparations advocates talk about today is that it should go to the general, like if reparations were to pass today, it should go to not only the generation that got redlined but like their children as well, right? Because the people who got redlined are still alive. So, and not only that, their children are grown and they have kids themselves. So it should go to like a certain block, a certain age group. I think that's what they're thinking about. However, I'm a millennial, right? So millennials are alive right now. If we pass away, the next generation comes through, and then reparations passes, then it'll go to them. Yeah, you see what I mean? It's not gonna just gonna be perpetual. Like millennials are like 80 years old, and then they get it, and then the next generation they get it as well. It won't be perpetual. It will pass, just like how we did with Japanese reparations. It first went to the people who were affected, and if they passed away, it went to their descendants.
I mean, it would be for slavery, though, right? It wouldn't be for Jim Crow laws. It would be. I mean, you have to go back to the 1800s to figure all this out, and then you'd have to prove it with documentation if it goes that far back, to prove you're a descendant of that person. And then my other question is, who's paying it? I mean, personally, I don't think it's fair to hold people today accountable if they weren't part of it. There's no slave owners today and so it's like, well, why am I being punished for something that somebody that looks like me did something in the past? I mean, I'm not for that. So
It would be for Jim Crow and redlining and black codes and the war on drugs and slavery, everything that affected African Americans socially, economically, and politically. That all that should be repaired.
I mean, do you think that Jewish Americans should get anything then from Germans?
They already did.
I mean, even the ones today,
Yeah, they can go to Israel right now.
they can go to Israel, but you're talking about like cash payments in their bank account, right?
I think that already happened.
Uh, you're saying Jewish Americans are getting cash payments in their account from Germans?
I don't think they're getting no. I don't think they're getting cash payments in their account, but reparation. They did get reparations. Jewish Americans did get reparations.
They did,
Hmm.
but they're descendants of World War II,
Hmm.
and even the ones today. I mean, they're not getting reparations.
Like the ones that are alive today, yeah, because it was already given to them after World War II. It just never happened for
Right,
African Americans, so that's why we should do it now.
right, right. But they're descendants of those people, though. I mean, I would say they're a lot closer than that than current African Americans are to slavery, though.
Say that again.
They're also descendants of those who
Hmm.
got it, though, as well. So,
Yeah,
why, you know,
descendants got it as well.
right? But now we have a new generation of
Mhm.
descendants. I mean, what? Why don't they get it? They're a descendant. What's the difference between slavery and the Holocaust? Why don't we just keep doing it?
Because number one, slavery was worse, and number two, like because that community was repaired, there will be no need to do it again. Like I'm like like reparations is about repairing what will happen to a community. If that community gets repaired, there will be no need to do it again.
How do you judge that slavery was worse than the Holocaust?
Its length and amount of people who passed away from it.
But that's your view. What if somebody who was in the Holocaust said, "Well, how do you know? I went through it."
I'm not the thing is that's not my view. The people who got eliminated during slavery and the length of time of slavery is way longer than the Holocaust.
So something makes something worse if as long as it goes on longer. It's not based on how many people died. Because
Yeah,
I would argue that the Holocaust is equally as bad, if not more. I mean, they were completely their whole race um, was going to be exterminated.
and what do you think happened during yeah like you like slave yeah like slavery it was basically a cultural genocide like you understand that.
Oh, yeah, I'm not saying slavery, but I'm just saying like how do you judge that, right? Because I mean,
All
or
right,
how do
sure.
you compare the two? I mean, they're both terrible.
All right, sure. Slavery lasted 400 years. The transatlantic slave trade lasted 400 years. The trans-Saharan slave trade probably lasted about 2 to 300 years. The amount of people who got traded in slavery were around 12 million people. So, and those are the 12 million who actually made it. The others who actually didn't make it is probably incalculable. We have no idea how many died. When it comes to the effects, essentially, a Jewish person right now has an unbroken line of culture of thousands of years from language to celebrations, everything. I have no idea where my ancestors are from. Zero clue. You see what I'm saying? And that cultural connection was cut off. We had to build entirely new cultural connections when we came over to this side of the planet. We had to build entirely new languages when we came to this side of the planet. I have no idea who my ancestors were or what country they are from, and I have no connection to those people over there. You see what I'm saying? Like I could have cousins right now that are over in Africa right now, and I have no idea who they are or the cultural connection. All that was cut off. Like that's a
I mean, I
huge
could be a
travesty.
Jewish person, and I could say, hey, my whole family was wiped out during World War II. I have no recollection. They stole all of our things. Everybody, you know, who's to say that their experience is not as bad as yours?
Their experience was
It's
bad,
in.
but the way
I
I'm
mean, what I'm
judging it
getting
is
at is it's opinion. It's opinion. It's not a matter of whose was worse or not. I mean, we could say facts, but from a Jewish person's perspective, they're going to say, well, we had it worse. Well, you're going to say, well, we had it worse because of what you said. So, I mean, I
yeah,
just don't see
sure.
how that justifies getting money in your account, though.
Yeah, sure. They and anyone can say that they had it worse, but what justifies reparations is not the opinion of who had it worse. What justifies reparations is what exactly happened to African Americans after slavery, and we know what happened to them after slavery. They were like deliberately kept poor. So why should we fix that?
How are the, well, okay. Um, well, how are you going to fix? But again, the problem is there's no slave owners anymore. They're all gone. So what you have now is you have people who are working who are just about everybody's not for that anymore. So how?
Right,
I
but
mean, how are you going to hold them to justice with
right.
their?
So what I'm saying is that reparations won't only be about slavery; it'll be about the effects of slavery, and we know what the effects of slavery are, and they still affect African Americans today.
Right, but if I'm a working person and I had nothing to do with it, how is that fair or just to hold me accountable for something that someone else did
We're
who
holding the
happens
government
to
and
live there?
society accountable.
Right, but it's a different government though too.
So
Like there were different people in charge, and
there are different people in charge when the Germans gave Jewish people reparations too. So
yeah, but when you say the government, what you're really saying is the taxpayers, because the government doesn't make money. They take money from the taxpayers, the people that are currently paying taxes. So what it's really going to do is hurt the people that are paying taxes. That's you and I. It's not going to hurt people back then. They don't pay anymore.
right, they're all gone. But like, it's not about hurting people; it's about repairing a community.
But it is going to hurt. But it is going to hurt someone. That's the thing. That's
No,
what I'm
it's not.
getting at. Absolutely, it will.
How?
If I'm paying money and if I'm paying money and it's going to someone else for something that I didn't do, I,
You mean
how am I
like how?
responsible?
You mean like how taxes already work?
No, that's not how they work. You don't justify something that happened in the past and make the current generation pay for it.
We do that all the time.
Like what? Give me an example.
That's what Medicaid is. Literally, all
That
social services is that.
that's not the same thing. That's a false analogy. That's not the same as reparations for slavery. Medicaid means that's medical care for low income people. That's not reparations.
Okay, so you understand that reparations is to repair and heal a community that the government damaged, right? Are you saying that
Yeah, but
hold on, are you saying that when if the government does something, they shouldn't be responsible for fixing it?
yeah, but you're saying the government, but really what you're saying is you're holding the current taxpayers accountable because the government doesn't make any money. The government just takes money. So you're
Irrelevant.
taking it out of the current taxpayers' pockets.
Irrelevant. The government damaged the black
It is
community.
relevant.
If the government damaged the black community, why shouldn't they repair it? That doesn't answer my question.
Yes, but how are you going to repair it? You have to take from someone else who didn't do anything.
Yeah, the government has to pony up.
What do you mean they have to pony up? They have to take from people that didn't do anything.
No, they don't have to take from anyone that didn't do anything. We fund the government. All right, so when the Japanese got reparations, did people get punished for that? Did people get damaged for that? When the Japanese got reparations?
Yeah, they did.
All right,
They
so
did, and it wasn't their
but we
fault.
still did it because it was the right thing to do, correct?
In your opinion, it's the right thing.
How is it not the right thing for people who gets damaged by a society and by a
You
government
weren't
for them to not be
because you weren't a
repaired?
slave. You weren't a slave.
Again, where the people who got do you know who Rudy Bridges is?
No.
Okay, so there's the problem. There's a lack of information going on here. Rudy Bridges was the first
No,
was the
it's a
first
lack
girl.
of it's a
Well, hold
lack of
on, listen,
opinion.
listen, listen. Rudy Bridges was the first person to integrate an elementary school. You know that famous picture of federal agents accompanying a little girl to school? Her?
No, I don't know that.
Seriously?
Maybe I've seen it. Maybe I've seen it. I don't
No,
know. I
you've
don't know
seen
if.
it. If hold on, did you learn about Jim Crow in school?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, so you've seen the picture of Rudy Bridges, the little black girl who was being accompanied by federal agents to a school. You've seen that picture before. It's a very famous picture. It's one of the most famous pictures in history.
It's if I
You've seen that
have, it's
before,
been
right?
years. But go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
My point is, I was gonna ask you, how old is she?
I have no idea.
She's 67.
Okay.
So what you're talking about was not long ago.
But I'm not
this-
talking
what I'm-
about,
what I'm
I'm
talking
talking
about.
about for slavery.
But I'm not, like, as I said for the third time, reparations are not only for slavery.
But that's what you want, though. I'm saying
That's not what I
I'm
said. That's
saying
not what I
that
said at all. I said that reparations would be for not just for slavery, but for Jim
you want
Crow,
them for
black
that.
codes.
But if
Hold on,
reparations,
listen to my position because you're not listening. Listen to my actual position because you're not listening. I didn't say slavery. I said not only slavery, but Jim Crow, redlining, and black codes and the war on drugs, all of which were targeted to African Americans. All of them.
yeah, but you can't compare slavery to those other laws. It's completely different.
Those are the effects of slavery, like I already said. Because I'm starting to feel like
Yeah,
you're
but
not
you're
listening to
trying,
me,
yeah,
bro.
but you're trying to connect the two because you're closer in generation, so you can get people paid.
I'm not trying to connect the two. Redlining is literally an effect of slavery because why did redlining happen?
the effective slavery, but it's not slavery.
I didn't say it was, and again I said that reparations would be for more than just slavery. It will be about the effects of
Right.
slavery as well. Like I'm starting to feel like you're not listening, bro.
No, I am listening. I just disagree.
Okay, so you disagree that discrimination like Jim Crow and redlining are not an effect of slavery?
No, I didn't say it was an effect, but it's not the same thing. So if you're
I didn't
getting
say it's the
reparations,
same thing. I said it's an effect of slavery, so reparations should not only be for slavery, but its effects. That's what I
yeah,
said.
reparations should is the disagreement. I don't think that they should be. I don't think they should be for anybody. I don't think we should have them at all because
Why not? Why shouldn't we repair a community that was
Again,
damaged by the?
hey, I'm
Why-
all for
hold on.
repairing communities.
Why? Okay, so if we should repair the community and that that was damaged by this government and still continues to be, why shouldn't we fix that?
It was hundreds of years ago. Nobody today is responsible. That's the thing.
You realize that the damage is still happening,
You're saying
right?
the government. You're saying the government, but again, the government doesn't generate any money. They take it through taxes. So you're taking from
Irrelevant.
people that had nothing to do with it.
That is irrelevant.
It's not relevant. You're literally taking it out of someone. You're saying, hey, even though you're not responsible for this, I'm going to take your tax dollars and I'm going to give it to this person because they're a descendant of something that happened to just it was a terrible thing. But
Bruh, ain't nobody gonna be knocking on your door
it's
to
not
swipe.
free.
Hold on, bro.
It's not free.
Hold on, bro.
is
Hold
the-
on, hold on.
is the
Listen,
whole
listen,
thing.
listen to
You're
what I'm
acting
saying
like
to you.
it's free and
Listen to
nobody's
what
gonna
I'm
be
saying to
harmed.
you, Dawkins. Listen to what I'm saying to you.
No,
Ain't
you're not
nobody,
listening to me. You're acting
ain't
like
nobody gonna be knocking on your door to swipe your Visa card for the monthly reparations bill. That's not going to happen.
It's a fact.
That's not gonna
Yeah,
happen, bro.
well,
But
I pay taxes every year, and if they use the money for that, then they are using the money.
What are you talking about? No one's going to your house.
If you pay taxes,
No
and you use that
one's
for
gonna be going
reparations,
to your house and say, "I'm the
that's
monthly
not what I'm
reparations
saying.
man."
That's not what I'm saying.
Okay, so what are you talking about then?
You're doing this red herring argument where you're making it about something else. The taxpayers have to pay for this, though, is what I'm saying collectively.
Yeah, we pay for everything. I'm paying for a school district that I don't even go to.
Exactly. So how can you hold taxpayers responsible for something when they weren't there? They didn't do it.
The government is being held responsible.
The government is the taxpayers, though. That's the whole point.
Yeah, and my whole point was that it was
The
the
government
government and
doesn't
the
make money.
it was the government and the taxpayers who damaged African Americans, so they should pay for it.
Current taxpayers
Yes.
damage African Americans?
Yes. Do you understand
Really?
that redlining still happens?
So I damaged African Americans through law. And you
I'm
want
not
to take
talking about
mine?
you personally. I'm talking about this society.
You're talking about taxpayers, though. I'm a
Yeah.
taxpayer.
All of our society does. Yes.
This is why this is never going to happen.
You know,
because it's such
you know why? Do we all still contribute to taxes to the war on drugs?
that has nothing to do with
Yeah, it
with
does.
what we're talking about.
Yeah, it does.
No, it
Yeah,
doesn't.
it does. Because who did the war on drugs target?
This is not reparations for slavery, though. The war on drugs. You're
The
trying
war
to
on-
get money for something that
again.
I agree with you on the war on drugs.
Exactly.
But that
Okay, so
doesn't
the
mean
war on
it's
drugs,
entitled to
the war on drugs was to target African Americans, right? That's what the Nixon aide said.
Supposedly, yes. Okay, I'll even
Okay.
grant you that.
So-
I don't. fully
So
agree.
we're paying taxes to target people who look like me. So why shouldn't we fix that?
Currently,
Yeah, the war on drugs is still going on.
I totally disagree. I don't think there's
We
laws
we,
out
we,
there.
we don't have the war on drugs anymore, really.
I didn't say we did, but that doesn't entitle you to taxpayer money going in your bank account.
Okay, so that doesn't entitle me to taxpayer money going to my bank account. How should we fix the African American community since the government damaged it?
The government can't. In all reality, the government can't. It has to come from within.
Oh yeah. So you're one of those then.
I am one of those. Yeah.
Yeah.
How are you? You could have all the money in the world. How are you going to fix a community? The
Do
community
you
has to do it.
understand what reparations would look like?
Are you talking about cash payments going into people's bank accounts?
That and something else.
Okay, so there you go. So we disagree.
Okay, but do you know what reparations will actually look like? You realize that there
Tell
are
me your
several.
vision.
You realize there are several ideas on what reparations would be and how it'll look like. Correct?
Yeah, I have
All
heard
right.
of that.
So
Yeah.
do you think it should just be programs?
Only programs?
Yeah.
I think investing into more communities would be okay.
So money.
Yes, but not cash payments going into bank accounts.
When African Americans were considered second class citizens, did wage theft happen?
Probably, but you're not entitled
Should
to
they
other
get those
people's
wages
money.
back?
No. From who?
Oh,
How
so
are
they
you gonna
shouldn't
pay
get
it
those
back?
wages back.
No, I would not be for that. No.
You realize that when African Americans were working with white Americans, something that still happens today, they were paid less for the same job.
Something that still happens today, that's illegal if
Yeah.
it's happening.
I know it's
You need to
illegal,
go
but
to
it's
an
still
attorney if
happening.
it's
I know
happening.
it's illegal, but it's still happening. Should we fix
Well,
that?
then you need to go to an attorney
Should we
because it's
fix
against
that?
the law. How are you going to fix it?
The government can compel them to pay what they owed.
From who? Who's going to pay it?
The businesses that did the thing.
The businesses that did the thing.
Yeah, the
You
businesses.
realize how
The
ridiculous
businesses.
that is. Even if they're still open.
Hold on, Dawkins. The businesses and the insurance companies who economically affected African Americans can be compelled to pay what they stole from them.
You would have to go to court for that, and you'd have to prove it. It doesn't mean you're
We know it already happened, bro. There's plenty of research on this.
okay. If you're talking about a business, then that's a little bit different. That's not taxpayers because a business would be responsible. So, but you would have to go to court for that. That's not.
And who let them
that's
get
not
away with it? Who
taxpayers
legally
pulling their money together.
who legally let them
Putting-
get away with it and gave them tax breaks for doing it?
What's that?
Who let them get away with it and gave them tax breaks for doing it?
Who let them get away with it?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know the whole history.
government.
Okay, but again, how you're repairing this whole thing is you're taking money from people who have nothing. They have no bearing in this whole thing.
Yeah, they do.
No, they.
As I already told you,
The average
Rudy, as I
taxpayer
already
is
told
nothing-
you, Rudy
nothing to do with what you're
Bridges,
talking about.
Rudy Bridges is still alive. That means that the people who damaged her are, guess what? Still alive.
So take from them then. Go, take them to
Nah,
court. It's not
all of
taxpayers'
society.
job.
All of society should pay because all of society was involved.
Not all of
You
society.
you
was
realize that
involved.
redlining.
that.
You realize
know
that
that's not
redlining.
true.
You realize that
You're saying
redlining.
we all
You
got
realize that
together.
redlining was also in California, right?
You're saying all of tax.
You do know that
all of
redlining was
society-
also
Hold on
in
a second.
California,
All
right?
of society.
Yes,
All of society.
all of society.
Is responsible.
All of society.
Everybody who
Because
goes
where
to
did,
work and has
where
no
did
clue what you're
redlining
talking
happen?
about.
Where did
we're all
redlining happen?
involved.
Where did redlining happen?
Redlining comes from the government, though. It's not the average taxpayer.
Where did it happen?
That's irrelevant. Where
Yeah,
it
is.
happened.
Yeah, it is
No,
relevant.
it's not.
Yes, it is.
It's not
because you
relevant.
said, hold on, wait. Didn't you just said that all of society wasn't involved?
It's the government. It's
Hold
not
on.
the taxpayer.
Didn't you just say that all of society wasn't involved? You said that, right?
Yes.
All right. And I asked you where did redlining happen? Redlining happened everywhere in all of society. Everywhere had
fault is
redlining.
it? Whose fault is it?
It's everyone's fault because
How
everyone
is it
was
everybody's fault
it's
if everybody's not
it was
involved?
it was everyone's fault because the reason why the suburbs was created was to get away from black people. That's the reason why the suburbs were created. That's the reason
Oh
why
man,
redlining actually
I'll tell
happened.
you what, man. You've got theories.
I
You've
don't
got
have theory. I can
theories
bring this
that
up.
really
You want me to prove
that
it?
put
You want me to prove
money
it?
into your
You want me to
pocket
prove
and
it?
not other
Hold on. You want me to
people's.
prove it? You
At
want me to prove
other
it?
people's expense
Hold on.
that
You want
have
me to prove it?
nothing to do with
You
it.
want me to prove it?
This is why this is never going to get passed because
Do you want me to prove it?
you're playing
Dawkins.
the blame game
Dawkins,
on
stop,
people that
stop.
have
Dawkins,
nothing to
stop,
do with
stop,
it.
stop, stop. Do you
I'm
want
just
me to
letting you
prove?
know the
Do you
truth,
want me to
man. You
prove?
don't want to hear the
Docs, do you want me to
truth.
prove? Do you want me to prove that suburbs were created to get away from black people? Do you want me to prove that?
I don't disagree with you, but the
Okay
whole
then.
thing is
So
you're holding
so so
someone
if
accountable.
our society was created to segregate black people and keep them down, why shouldn't society lift them up? You can unmute yourself now. Hey
While he's
Juneteenth, how's
figuring
it
out
going?
how to unmute, hello. I just wanted to introduce myself real quick. Hi.
How you doing, Juneteenth? I know I kind of was going over. I do want you to get in on this because I believe you actually are an African American, so you can speak on it more.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
So there were two things that I quickly wanted to say. I hope everybody's doing well. Um, on our point earlier with black codes, I did just want to go ahead and quickly point out after slavery was abolished to disclude, obviously, with the 13th criminals and mass incarceration, which still happens today, neither here nor there. It was illegal for people, Americans, to not be employed. And so if they were not employed, if you cannot prove that you were employed, i.e. showing papers, then you would be arrested. And if you're arrested, back to the 13th, you can then legally be enslaved. The 13th Amendment to this day has not been changed. If you are incarcerated, you are legally a governmental slave. Furthermore, I just wanted to quickly point out, as far as housing goes and redlining, I do want to go ahead and point out, while you're looking for redlining, I want to touch on reverse redlining real quick. Reverse redlining, for those of you who may not be as familiar, is the exact opposite of redlining. So the government, when they came in and said, hey, you cannot prevent black people who are qualified for applying for these loans. And so when people would apply, they would be given extremely predatory loans. And with these predatory loans, they were meant to essentially for black people to default on said loans and to lose their homes, which was also catastrophic to the black community. I'm bringing that up because in I believe it wasn't until around the 60s, 70s, it was legal for lenders to allow customers to put in their promissory notes, the thing that makes you pay your mortgage each month. They were allowed to require that black people not be approved for these notes, for these loans. So you have a situation where black people are having to overcome being able to even be in spaces that were deemed white spaces. Then you also have, when they're able to apply for these loans, then they're given loans that with crazy interest rates that they're designed to default on so that their home could go into foreclosure. And you also have these situations where legally people are being excluded by lenders themselves. So we're not just talking about, one company or two companies. We're talking about the government upholding these racist policies through lenders. And to this day, if you are approved for a loan, let's say you get an FSA loan, and you live in a rural area, you are going to be paying mortgage insurance or USDA insurance for the life of that loan. That means for 30 to 40 years, the government will be profiting off of one of those three things I just mentioned, either redlining, reverse redlining, or now because of the executive order getting with the whole DEI thing and allowing companies to exclude anyone of any color, not being equitable. Now, again, if a company wanted to, if a lender wanted to, they would allow a customer to say that the Black person could not buy a property. So we have all these different systemic levels in mortgage alone that still exist to this day, sir. I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, and this was all throughout society, and society agreed with it.
Oh yeah, this is still anywhere in the country. If you get a Fannie Mae loan, a Freddie Mac loan, or an FSA loan, the government is profiting off of your mortgage insurance. They're profiting off of USDA insurance. It's just no way around that. If you have mortgage insurance, the government somehow they're getting their cut. I don't know if Dawkins figured out how to unmute or anything, and I don't want to take up too much space.
No, no,
So I
it's
can
all
go
good.
on if
I
you
can invite
want.
him. Go ahead and unmute yourself, Dawkins. You can go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not unmuted. Go ahead.
I'll drop down. Thank you all.
No problem, Juneteenth. I appreciate you being up here. Yeah, so everything that Juneteenth explained is how African Americans were stolen from with for millions of wealth, and that should be repaired. So you're all about repairing the African American community. You just don't think that they should receive checks. Is that it?
Um, you could generalize with that statement, sure. I mean, I'd be okay with some funds going there for sure. I mean, I want everybody to have a good community that they can thrive in, and I don't disagree with a lot of things you guys say. But I don't think checks is the way to do it though. I think that's a short term way to do it. And you want something that's more sustainable for the communities.
Yeah,
So for everybody's community.
What will be sustainable for the community is building wealth, right?
Yeah, but I don't. Yeah, but you can't do that through the government. The government can't make you wealthy.
They can. That's what they did for white people.
That's a very generalized statement, as if all people are wealthy, or as if all white people are wealthy, and definitely
I didn't say all white
all
people are.
white people are not wealthy.
All white people are not wealthy. That is true. But the government made it easier for if you're a white to become wealthy, and they did that with the things like the GI Bill, with the Homestead Act, all of which black veterans and black people were not allowed to take advantage of. The average.
Well, I'm pretty sure black veterans can get the GI Bill.
Now they can. They couldn't. They couldn't back before 1970 something.
Okay, but you're saying all of society was for that, and now they're not.
Yeah, they agreed. They were completely fine with it. No one cared.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I would say contemporaries today would not be for that. So
Yeah, now we're not for that because like we got past the 70s. Hell, even in the 80s, we still had a racial problem in this country. The racial problem in this country didn't get resolved, or hasn't been resolved, or like literally was still pretty bad into the mid 90s.
I mean, how does it get resolved? At what point? Do you think it'll ever get resolved? Because I don't think so.
I'm not sure if it could ever get resolved. To tell you the truth.
Yeah, no, I don't think it will. I mean, it'll never get resolved, but that doesn't mean progress hasn't been made.
But yeah, progress has been made. I agree that progress has been made. But one of the things that I think we need to do is to work on repair. And as long as people are against repair, then nothing's gonna get resolved.
I'm against repair, but I'm definitely not for putting checks in people's bank accounts. I just don't see how that helps them long term. Sure, it'll help them short term, but then once the money runs out, then what?
All right. You know, there's been experiments on this before, right? Like they did an experiment not only in Georgia, but I think in California, where they gave homeless people checks, no questions asked, and they gave single mothers checks, no questions asked, and it was only like $1,000. What they found that what happened is that those homeless people that were given like $1,000 a month, no questions asked, the majority of them went back to school. The majority of them got jobs again. The majority of them got homes again. For the single mothers, same thing. Went back to school, got jobs, or stay or changed careers in order to stay and take care of their children, to make sure that their children were raised properly. You see what I'm saying? So when giving people usually assume that just giving folks money, they're just gonna squander it. But when we actually study what people do with it, they actually do things that are gonna improve their lives, which is what we see all the time.
I don't know if that's true. I don't know if I could take that study based on face value. I mean, you take $1,000 a month. I mean, that's great if you want to go to school and everything. If somebody did it, but I I doubt that actually what happened. But
I mean, this
I'm not
experiment
saying your
has been
study's not
done
valid,
several
but
times.
I'm not saying your study's not valid, but I don't think putting checks. I mean, people get welfare checks all the time, and their situation doesn't get better. You know, they become dependent on the checks,
Right,
and
because
if they lose them,
mhm.
it a lot of times it takes all of their motivation to get something better. You know, you're not supposed to be on it your entire life. It's supposed to be a safety net,
Yeah,
and it's not. You're not supposed to live on it forever.
yeah. So like the thing is with the way that welfare is done in this country is actually not good. I'm actually against the way that welfare is done in this country because like just like how you said, I used to work in social services. I've seen the dependency that it can cause because the moment you go $1 over, you're off the program. So of course that encourages people to not do overtime or get better jobs because they're gonna need their food assistance or their Medicaid. You see what I'm saying? So I understand the way that it causes dependency, which is why we should
Mhm.
reform it. If we had a way of, just like how I was saying, universal basic income. Now I don't think that's going to be working for everyone to get universal basic income. There are people, of course, who are disabled that universal basic income would affect them negatively. But if we go more towards that route than the way that we're doing now, it'll be better for our society and not cause dependency. And when it comes to, like I said, hey Sean, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, I'm gonna get to you next. Just give me one more minute with Dawkins. But yeah, so Dawkins, we're basically at the end of the line now. Did you have anything else?
No, man, that was it.
All right,
Appreciate the convo.
no problem. Appreciate you being up. All right, Sean, give me 1 second.